foreskin circumcised.
Oh, circumcised.
Yeah, that's why I was circumcised. My mom, the same exact thing.
Right.
She's like, our whole family does.
Yeah, we have to do it because my house.
We're all Catholic.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
You had to do these things.
Yeah.
And I had to do them until well into my adulthood because I had to do them. And at this point in time, there's nobody telling me what I have to do anymore because it's all based on nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
It's a building that's built on mud, as far as I'm concerned. There's nothing to it that has any credibility.
There's no base. There's no factual base to it, so there's no reason to believe
Just
anything.
think about it.
Yeah, that's all it takes is thinking about
Just
it.
think about it.
And there was a woman who committed suicide just a few months ago because her family ostracized her for rejecting
Jumped off the
bar near my job. Yeah.
I go there for cigars.
Wow.
230 Fifth Avenue, I think it is.
Yeah, third. I think it was up
It
there.
was on Fifth Avenue. It was a cigar bar. She jumped off the building
Mm-hmm.
because of her religion.
Yeah, they rejected it, and she wrote in her last email, she was like, if only people were allowed to think, they wouldn't have religion.
Exactly.
And that's
If you read, I have a great site. I don't remember. It's a website. It's my favorite quotes against religion. What Thomas Edison said, and Einstein, and so many great writers, Hemingway, and how they felt about religion, and how they just were like, "What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing?" You know. And I hope that one day somebody says that a line of one of my books would mean something to them about
be inspired.
Be inspired about
for
their
sure.
life.
I mean, I've already seen stuff that I'm like, hell yeah, right, that makes sense. I've already seen a few. I won't spoil it though, but it's seriously a good book. And what else is there to look for from you? You have another book out that is from this series using some of the characters.
Yeah, I have 2 poetry books out, and there's some things in there that talk about what I think about religion and even the Holocaust, because I grew up in the 1950s, and there were still people walking around the neighborhood with the numbers on their arms.
Shit.
Yeah, and I didn't know what they were. And when I found out what they were, that's
intense.
That's intense. And I knew many of these people, these Jewish camp escapees. They were elderly, and what they went through was amazing. So some of my poetry reflects on that as well. I have a mob genre. I write about the mafia, and it's fun. It's fiction. Bessa, it's about the Albanian mob and the Italian mob in New York City fighting, and that may be a movie soon, we hope.
Awesome.
Well, we hope. We're looking for funding. We have a trailer, and the director, producer, all that's picked out.
Oh, wow.
A couple of major stars are interested. I can't mention their names because of
That's
contract.
awesome.
Well, we hope. I just started doing this 8 years ago. I started my writing career 8 years ago.
What did you do before that?
I was in business. I worked for energy companies. I sold for oil to a lot of the buildings
That's
here
right.
in New York City. I was a senior VP at the end of my career. So I rose to the top of my career, and I don't thank God for that. I thank myself, my hard work. I hate to say it, but and Mom's not watching anymore. She's passed, so I could just hear her.
She could be.
Well, she's looking down. Louis, you son of a bitch. So this is, and I have a new book out called You Think I'm Dead. It's about a boy that was killed in Philadelphia in 1957. That's a all crime novels.
That's awesome.
And the new one coming out March 15th is called Game of Pawns, which is another mob book about the Russian mafia in Brighton Beach. Did a lot of research on that. And now I'm doing a book called Zip Code. I think I told you about Zip Code. It's a young adult book with no violence in it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We need more of that.
We need more of that. And, I'm not going to apologize for what I've written for the past 8 years, but you mature and you change and you find out what really life is about. And I want to help more people than excite more people, I guess, at this point in my life.
Well, I mean, it's important because I'm a humanist, but the reality of our world is that there are people out there who deserve to fucking die. There are people out there who, if left to their own whims, will literally commit the craziest atrocities. That is the reality of our world.
Absolutely.
You just cannot avoid that. It's almost impossible sometimes to guarantee you'll lock somebody up for the rest of their life, or that you're going to spend a lot of money on that.
And not
also.
because they had sex with another person's husband, as they will do in some of the Muslim fundamentalist countries, but murder.
Yeah, like if you're
Child
standing there
abuse.
with a detonator and you're about to blow up an entire theater or something
You deserve
like that,
to die.
if somebody has the ability to shoot you in the face,
Yes.
and does not, that person is immoral. That person,
Exactly.
like, what is wrong with that person? Why would they not do that? So
Exactly.
there are realities out there that we need to acknowledge, that we need to recognize, and then we need to find a way to express our emotion on it without actually murdering innocent people, which I think you did a good job with this. This really brings out that whole... It lets you come to terms with your angers, basically, because when you watch things like Dexter, you're like, damn, that dude deserved it. Because he did all his research on that guy. He saw that he fucked up all these people's lives. That guy totally deserved it. And that's a good thing to have, but our media nowadays is just covering too much.
Oh, it's too much.
It's way too much. There has to be some kind of balance there, and we need more positive things. And that new book, you said that. Go into what it's about exactly.
It's about.
That's an interesting thing.
It's an interesting concept that I came up with. It's about two kids in the South Bronx who have their senior year. They have a semester of their senior year. They go in to live in Ridgewood, New Jersey, which is a very affluent town in Bergen County, New Jersey, near where I live now. And two kids from Bergen County are going to be living on Fox Street in the South Bronx. And what happens to their lives? And how does it change their opinions about people? Their opinions about interracial relationships, their opinions about life itself. And
that's
how,
awesome.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun book. I'm doing my research now with some young people about what their thoughts are about life, and I'm going to incorporate those things into this book. It's not going to be a long book, but it'll be...
It's kind of forcing these kids to open their mind to new ideas, new concepts.
It's like a trading places, but in an urban environment here.
Yeah, right, which is important because there's so many variables involved with each one. Once you're in an impoverished environment, things might not look so bright.
When I was growing up in the projects in the southeast Bronx, I had no concept of having a backyard. No requirement, no demand, no thought. It was just not in my thought process to have a backyard. Never mind a pool or whatever the hell else you get, the trappings of life. Never had any of that idea. And if you're living in Ridgewood, New Jersey, you're not worried about killing cockroaches and rats and worry about the rapist that lives downstairs. It's a whole different world, and it's probably only a 30-minute drive between the two worlds.
See, that's what happened to me, but mine was Florida. When I went to Florida, it was like seeing an entirely new planet, and I'm just like, whoa, what is this world that I'm in right now?
What is this?
And I was really culture shocked.
Sure.
Fully culture shocked. I was just like, I'm experiencing everything from a new perspective right now. I mean, I'm meeting new friends that I would never have had any types of friends like them if I had stayed in the Bronx, New York.
Never.
Ever.
So I may call on you to give me some help.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be awesome because I definitely literally have actually experienced that.
Exactly.
And now I'm back.
Exactly.
Now I'm back in Manhattan, and I'm just like, it was another culture shock because I grew up in the Bronx where it's urban, poverty, all that stuff. I went to Florida where it's decent middle class, and now I'm in fucking Manhattan, and it's just like, what is this place?
It's another culture shock.
Yeah, when you go from the Bronx to Manhattan, it is a completely different culture.
I can't rely on my growing up in the Bronx anymore because that was so long ago that different world. I mean, so that's why I need to research with these younger people to find out what their world is about. That who live in the South Bronx. Mm-hmm. Totally different than when I lived there.
I have a lot of friends that live in the South Bronx that I met at middle shows, so I might be able to help. Back to this, what kind of research did you have to do to get like the cops' perspectives? And like when I read about the psychosexual, that being a trend, I was just like, damn, how many times has this been an investigation that they know that stuff like that?
There's a big blue book. It's about that thick. It's the Bible on, pardon the word. It's the Bible on homicide on homicides, written by a former homicide detective.
And this is like full stats,
full pictures things that are being lopped off. And I read the entire book.
Wow.
And I went back and read some of the other parts of the book that were germane to psychosexual murder.
So you're seeing how they're writing the reports. You're seeing how they're putting the evidence
I interviewed
down.
FBI agents. I interviewed policemen. A lot of cops I interviewed.
And just for this book.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
I went, and not that I want to give plot away, but I went and found out where the Hasidic Jews get their clothing. Mm-hmm. And I went in and spent time in Williamsburg with the Hasidim, the Satmar Hasidic Jews.
I just got up to that part.
Yeah, well, that's a good part. That's my favorite part.
I like it so
One of my favorite parts. I did a lot of research on Ireland, the country, and what they went through with the Magdalene sisters and so forth. It's an educational process for me all the way, because you learn so much and the light bulb goes off and you go, why didn't anybody stop this? You know, for decades and decades, 100 years, the poor people in Ireland were under the whip of the Catholic Church, and the children were being molested and murdered and buried, and babies being sold, and nobody said anything.
Nobody tried to
What
stop
the hell's that about? I don't understand. So I did a lot of research, months and months and months of research before you start writing.
So based on a lot of facts.
Based on a lot of facts. My new book that's coming out in January, it's about organ piracy among the mafia. The Russian mafia specifically does a lot of organ piracy. So they'll see you. They see about $500,000 in kidneys.
Shit.
Take your kidneys. So I need
Literally.
to know about how to. So through contacts of mine, I stood and watched the kidney transplant at Presbyterian Hospital.
Oh, okay.
Right next to the.
I thought you were gonna say it some.
No, right next to the surgeon, a renowned surgeon,
Wow.
and watch the whole entire thing to get a grasp of how it's actually done. It's amazing.
That is amazing. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah. So I do a lot of research on the books.
That's important.
Yeah.
And what's really cool is the impact it can have on people who might be, say, in the Catholic Church, and they might not have any idea that anything like this could happen or how it could happen. So they read your book, see the factual insight to the other side, and they're like, well, what if this is happening to my kids? Let me keep a closer eye on, the kids in the neighborhood and stuff like that.
Let me tell you something.
Awesome.
When this book came out in 2011, I had so many threats on email and phone call hangups that a couple things happened. I went and got gun permits for myself.
Shit.
Oh yeah, I never had a gun.
Yeah.
Never. Now I have them.
Yeah. Now you need it.
Yeah, and I have cameras around my home.
Wow.
Just in case anybody wants to play games. And like you said before, if somebody does something and deserves to die, they're going to die.
Yeah, exactly. If somebody has the full-on intent to kill and they have the moment to do it, and you have the moment to stop them, fucking stop them. What are you doing?
Exactly. I'm not going to think of any repercussions when I die and face God.
Or even in the court of law, like, you're not thinking about that at that moment in time. You're not thinking, oh, what is the lawyer going to say about this? No, fuck that. I'm about to die. Let me stop this guy.
Preston, I don't want it to happen.
Exactly. Of
but
course,
I'm going
that's
to be prepared.
The thing. And it's just like pro-choice people. Like, they think, pro-lifers think that we're pro-death. Or we're pro-abortion. And it's like, nobody is pro-abortion. Nobody wants to have a fucking abortion.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Right.
We want you to have the choice that if you're in this circumstance where it's required, you're able to do so, and it's not illegal to do, so you're not having to go get a coat hanger, shit like that.
Which happened in my day.
And it still happens.
It still does.
And now with states banning and defunding Planned Parenthood, it's going to happen even more. Yeah, they just defunded it.
How many young women were destroyed, killed, died from infection, and then were unable to have children after that because of what happened in my day?
Yeah, and when they're young.
Yeah.
And when they don't have the ability to know, and with all the media throwing sex in everybody's fucking faces every day.
I don't remember. When I was young, I think the girls used to go to Puerto Rico or someplace like that to have abortions. They went somewhere else.
Christ.
They went somewhere else, and it was a terrible tragedy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, one lady at my job, she said her mom had to go to Mexico to get a divorce. Because back then, women weren't allowed to get divorces.
Mexican divorces, yeah.
Yeah, she had to go, and she was on a tour bus with other white wives going to get divorces because they weren't allowed to get it here. And this was in New York. She lived in New York at the time.
And not that many years ago.
This was...
In my day, I remember.
Yeah, she said that it was in like the
50s and 60s.
50s, 60s.
Yep, yeah. I remember.
Because that's how old the lady that her daughter is. It's fucking crazy.
We went from the Mickey Mouse Club to Prozac in 2 generations.
Right? Yeah, now antidepressants everywhere.
Everywhere.
And we don't even have the real research to know the effects on everybody, so you might have misdiagnosis here and bad prescriptions there, and all these people are just being misdiagnosed, and you don't even know it. Nobody can know.
Yeah.
Unless you have 50 psychiatrists looking at them
Exactly.
every fucking day. It's insane.
Well,
what time are we at? You're at an hour or something, right? I don't know. Well, yeah, I think we'll wrap up here.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to meet you. You're a great young man.
Thank you for
letting me
interview.
I wish you all the best of luck to you. And hopefully we'll talk when the new book comes out.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be cool. That'd be a really cool book.
Great.
All right, sweet. To do a plug
No.
for my show.
Oh, plug your show, yeah.
Thank you for watching our interview with Louis Romano. We're going to be wrapping up our first season actually tomorrow with David G. McAfee. Make sure to watch that. Subscribe to our Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube. That Atheist Show all across the board. Instagram, everywhere you go. Check out our Facebook page. Join our Facebook group, Those Atheist People. If you guys have any feedback, just comment below. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.